and welcome to another video of English language. Here we have today active passive voice. Now you students, you must be wondering that what is active sentence and what is passive sentence, and some of you might be well aware of this, like what is active sentence and what is passive sentence. So here first of all we have active and passive voice, and the definition of active voice is exactly before you. When the subject of a sentence performs the verb's action, we say that the sentence is in the active voice. Sentences in the active voice have a strong, direct and clear tone. Here are some short and straightforward examples of active voice, right? So exactly in easy words we can say that active sentence is when a subject works on an object, right? So active sentence is what? Active sentence is easy to understand, where we see that the subject of a sentence, right? Subject means the doer of the sentence is working on an object. For example, I teach English. So here I is subject who is working, the work of teaching is done on the object English. So here English is considered an object on which work of teaching is done by I. I is a subject here. So the sentence is quite easy and is strong enough to believe in it, right? So here you can also see some more examples, like monkeys adore bananas. So it is very easy to understand that monkeys work on bananas. Work of adore is done here, means they like bananas. The cashier counted the money. So money is object here and the cashier is subject, and the work which is done, this is the work, right? Another sentence, the dog chased the squirrel, right? Again the squirrel is working here as an object, dog is subject and chased is the work which is done on squirrel. All three sentences have a basic active voice construction, subject, verb and object. It is very easy to understand here that how these things work, right? Now let's move further. It's a clarification, or we can say, this is the details given on the above subjects, where the subject monkey performs the action described by adore. This I already explained with an example. The subject, the cashier, performs the action described by counted. The subject, the dog, performs the action described by chased. The subjects are doing. They take action in their sentences. The active voice reminds us of the popular Nike slogan, just do it, right? So exactly here means where an active sentence, if we talk about an active sentence, so in active sentence subject does work on an object, right? This is very clear and easy to understand. When you see an active sentence, you see where a subject is there and a verb is there and an object is there, right? So this subject works, right, on the object. It is very clear, it is very easy to understand. And most of the sentences, when we speak to a second person, there we use mostly active sentences. Now here next we have is passive voice, right? We must know that what is active. Active we have already done, that what is an active sentence. Now we are moving towards passive sentence or passive voice. And what is this passive voice? Usually people understand, that active sentence is somebody or something which is very active, right? and on the other hand passive is something, you know, which has lack of energy, right? But here exactly it doesn't mean. Passive is something else. So a sentence is in the passive voice on the other hand when the subject is acted on by the verb. The passive voice is always constructed with a conjugated form of to be plus the verb's past participle. Doing this usually generates a prepositions as well. That sounds much more complicated than it is. Passive voice is actually quite easy to detect. For examples of passive voice, we will transform the three active sentences above to illustrate the difference, right? So the above active sentences which we read earlier will be transformed here in passive voice for better understanding. So earlier in the example we read that monkeys adore bananas, and you can see here in passive voice that the work is done on the object, right? But here we can say the importance is given to the object, right? So that's why we will use first bananas. So bananas are adored by monkeys. In previous sentence we saw that monkeys were performing the action, right? Even here you can see that the monkeys are performing the action, but you know they are secondary here. The primary the importance is given to the object, that is bananas, right? Means the work is done on bananas by, you know, by the monkeys. So here you can see this was object and adored. This adore word change into past participle of it, that is adored, and we added here a preposition called by, right? So it is easy to see here. You can see that bananas are adored by monkeys, right? The money was counted by the cashier. Earlier the sentence was the cashier counted the money, where importance was given to the cashier, and here in this sentence the importance is given to the object money, which is used at the beginning of the sentence, right? And counted changed into past participle, again counted, and by preposition the cashier. The squirrel was chased by the dog, right? Same thing again. The word which was object in the active sentence now here became subject. Let's take a closer look at the first pair of sentences, right? So here you can see that monkeys adore bananas. This was the active sentence, right? And bananas are adored by monkey. The active sentence consists of monkeys subject, adore verb, and bananas object. The passive sentence consists of bananas object plus are adored, a form of to be plus the past participle adored plus by preposition, and monkeys subject, right? So making the sentence passive flipped the structure and necessitated the preposition by, right? In fact all three of the transformed sentences above required the addition of by, right? So one more easy way to do this is that here we use a formula called be plus verb third form, right? This is very easy way to perform or to change active sentence into passive and passive into active, where be is used in different forms as per the tense used in the sentence. For example, In first example, monkeys adore bananas. Here we see, we can easily find out that the tense used is present tense or present indefinite tense. So as per the present indefinite tense, we have to change the form of be, which could be is, am or are, and with it we have to use verb. Verb is already here, that is adore, and this will be changed into third form. Third form means past participle form of the verb, right? So here we will change this sentence, this bananas, which is object here, will be interchanged, and this bananas will become subject and monkeys will become object, right? Here it is object and this becomes subject here. And the thing you used here, you can see easily as bananas, as word banana, bananas is plural, so here we have to use are and third form of verb. You can see here easily, are adored by monkeys, right? So it is very easy. If you remember this formula, it will be very easy to change, to transform an active sentence into passive and passive into active. Now next is active voice and passive voice. You can find the difference right here. The subject of sentence is doing the action, right? These are the easy tips to remember and identify active sentence and passive sentence. So in active sentence, the subject of the sentence is doing the action. On the other hand, in passive, the action is done on or upon the subject, right? This I already told. The doer means the subject of the action is followed by the verb. The doer of the action is preceded by the verb. The receiver of the action is preceded by the verb. The receiver of the action is followed by the verb, and meaning is more clear and direct, right? You know, active sentence, you can easily find out that what is active sentence, right? And as I already told, that whenever we read something, you know, we make sentence, we talk to somebody in English, there we find mostly active sentences. Meaning can be confusing, you know, here in passive voice meaning can be confusing and indirect. You know, the meaning can be indirect, but it is not quite confusing. It is easy to understand if you know what is passive and what is active sentence. Mostly passive sentences are used in newspaper writing, you know, in newspapers. The tone is authoritative. Authoritative here means, right, as here we use active subjects, you know, doers are there, that's why it becomes authoritative. It shows some authority in the tone. And here the tone is neutral or objective, right? Here in passive voice exactly we do not focus on the subject, but here we focus on the object, you know, without naming anybody, without blaming anybody. Here we can use in passive voice, but in the active voice you have to use, right? And that's why they become authoritative. I hope that you understood this difference between an active sentence and a passive sentence. Now we have a few rules for converting active sentence into passive and vice versa. Simply exchange the places of the subject and the object. For example, I take the very easy example here. I teach English, right? So here you easily find that I is subject, teach is verb, and English is object. So you just need to change the object and subject, right, by interchanging their place. So here in passive, English would come first, right? We leave the place for verb, and I will be changed into me, right? And as this verb teach is showing that the sentence belongs to simple present tense, so we have to use one out of is mr. As English is singular, so we have to use is, and with is we have to use past participle form of teach, which is taught, right? And in between this verb and me we have to use by, right? So the clear sentence will be English is taught by me, right? So the same procedure is shown here in this first rule of transforming active sentence into passive. The subject should become the object and vice versa. While changing a sentence from active to passive, or reverse, means passive to active. Now here you can see active sentence, she bought a new car. She is the subject and a new car is an object. Passive voice, a car was bought by her. A car is subject and her is object here, right? So this is the very common difference between an active sentence and a passive sentence. Now rule 2, what does it say here? Always blindly convert the main verb. As you know that mostly active sentences are made by using a verb, right? And here when we change or when we transform an active voice, active sentence into passive, we have to use verb third form, which is also known as past participle form. So always blindly, why they are saying blindly? Because in passive voices we always use third form, past participle form. Convert the main verb into its past participle or third form while converting from active to passive voice. To remind you what the third form of a verb looks like, let's look at a following examples. So here you can see verb first form, buy, sing, grow, and second form, bought, sang, grew. Third form means past participle form, bought, sung, and grown. So this is also important to learn, to remember all the third forms of all the verbs. Now here you can see one more example. Active sentence, Bhanu wrote a book on gun violence. Passive, a book on gun violence was written by Bhanu, right? So here, seeing this form of verb, you can easily identify that this is simple past tense, and here in passive voice we have was, right? If I remind you about this formula, which is be plus verb third form again, so as I told you, this be is itself a verb form and it has different forms like first form, second form, and third form. So I already told you that first form of be is also is, am, are, and for second form, which is past, we use here was and were. Was and were. Was for singular and were for plural. So here it is used, you can see wrote is second form of verb, and when we changed it into passive, here you can see that we used was, because a book is singular, that's why here we use was, and with this we used verb third form, which is written. I hope you understood very well, and you will not forget this formula of be plus third form whenever you will be trying to change active sentence into passive. Now, third rule here we have, use the word by before the subject in passive sentence. For example, my brother sang a song. Passive, a song was sung by my brother, right? So we also have to indicate in passive voice that who did the work or who does the work. By putting preposition by, we can indicate that who exactly does the work in the sentence, right? So my brother sang a song, and a song was sung by my brother. Change of tense of the auxiliary word. Now when you change the verb form of the main verb, the tense of the auxiliary also changes accordingly. Let's see this with the help of a few examples. Now here you see active voice, the sun rises from the east, right? This is quite complicated sentence here for many of the students, because the rule we read recently, when we apply those rules in it, it might create problem. So the simple passive for this is east is where the sun rises from, right? So this is the way to convert this kind of active sentence into passive, right? Sun rises from the east, and east is where the sun rises from. Now past tense you see here, active sentence, she walked my dog home. My dog was walked home by her. You know, this is quite easy here. You can see that she became her, and dog, you know, which was object here, became subject, my dog, right? And it was second form of verb, which means that this is simple past, and simple past, for simple past we have here was, and with was we used third form of walk, which is walked. Now future tense, it is itself very easy. Sheena will do the craft work. So craft work will be changed as subject here, and Sheena will remain Sheena, but here at the end by is here, and be, you know, as with will we cannot use is MR, right? As I told you already, be plus verb third form. So be is itself a verb first form. With will we used it as it is, right? So the craft work will be done, again third form, will be done by Sheena. Okay. Sometimes you may completely omit the subject from the passive voice, right? So you know, the sentences we did recently, those were easy to understand, easy to change, but we might get some difficult sentences. Exactly, those are not difficult, but we should remember the trick to change those sentence into passive. As we have here example, sometimes you may completely omit. Omit here means, you know, you have to remove the subject from the passive voice if the idea you are trying to convey is clear. You just have to take a judgment call for that. For example, you can see here, Distance is measured in kilometers. So generally you do not see any subject here, right? So kilometers is a measurement unit for distance, right? So this shows that this is converted into passive very easily, but by using a trick that we cannot use any subject here. So kilometers is a measurement unit for distance. Now some more words like with or to are also used in passive voice. How? You may recall that we use by quite frequently in an active voice to passive voice conversion. I know her, she is known to me, right? So in exams you might get this kind of sentences to transform into passive, but don't get hesitated, don't get nervous. Here there is a trick, but while attempting these questions you must remember these rules and regulations. As it is the example saying here, I know her, her is changed again into she and is known to me, right? This is the passive voice, she is known to me. Again active voice, love fills my heart is filled with love. Now the rules for using auxiliary verb in a sentence are different from each tense as follows. Simple present tense auxiliary verbs used in passive voice are is, am, are या फिर is, are, am. Active sentence, you can see here active voice, he writes a letter, passive, a letter is written by him. He does not write a letter is not written by him. Does he write a letter? Now this is interrogative, you must see this. Is a letter written by him. They sell books, books are sold by them. She helps me, I am helped by her. Now progressive present tense. Progressive present tense means present continuous tense we are using here. Progressive present tense auxiliary verb used in the passive voice is being, are being, am being. So you can see here active voice, she is singing a song is being sung by her, right? So here we are not leaving the rule of be plus verb third form, right? So here be is used and with be we use verb ing so that we can sustain the tense of a sentence. So she is singing a song is being sung by her. She is not singing a song is not being sung by her. Is she singing a song? Is a song being sung by her. They are eating apples, apples are being eaten by them, and you are disturbing me, I am being disturbed by you, right? So this is what progressive tense or present continuous tense is transformed into passive voice. Now here you see, which is very important, simple past tense. You know, most of the students commit mistake in this only. So active voice, passive voice, here you can see he bought a car was bought by him. He did not buy a car was not bought by him. Did he buy a car? Was a car bought by him. She decorated the walls were decorated by him. Sorry, it should be her here. It should be her. Okay. I helped them, they were helped by me. Progressive past tense means past continuous tense. You can see here, she was washing a shirt was being washed by her. She was not washing a shirt was not being washed by her. Was she washing a shirt? Was a shirt being washed? Past perfect, important. They had won the game. The game had been won by them. Right? They had not won the game. The game had not been won by them. Simple future tense, auxiliary verbs used in passive voice. Active voice, she will write a poem. A poem will be written by her. She will not write a poem will not be written by her. Future perfect tense, you can see here, he will have received the letter. The letter will have been received by him. He will not have received the letter will not have been received by him. Now this is very easy, and in every tense we are using the same formula, which is be plus verb third form. Now note, the sentence of the following tense can't be changed to passive voice. You can see here, present perfect continuous tense cannot be changed into passive voice. So somehow, as we read earlier, that most of the sentences we change into passive, they belong to different tenses. But it is also important, when you try to transform a present perfect continuous tense sentence into passive, it will be quite difficult. Okay, so that's why it is ignored that we cannot change present perfect continuous tense into passive. Past perfect continuous tense, same problem, we cannot change them. Future perfect continuous, again same thing, that we cannot change them into passive voice. Future continuous, same, and sentences having intransitive verbs, right, we cannot change them. Now exercises we have here. I did not beat her. So how would you change it? We have to change her into she. As this is past, simple past sentence, I did not beat her, so she was not beaten by me. Right? This is the change, this is the passive of I did not beat her. Now I will never forget this experience. So again, transform or interchange the subject and the object. This experience will be in the beginning of the sentence. Will never be forgotten by me. Right? So this experience will never be forgotten by me. Mother made a cake yesterday. A cake was made by mother yesterday. The boy teased the girl. The girl was teased by the boy. The girl was teased by the boy. Right? Did she do her duty? Again, simple past, was duty done by her. Right? So these are few sentences I transformed for you, and I am leaving all of you with some more exercises here. You can perform, you can try to change these sentences into passive, right? And I'm sure that if you have listened to me carefully and use that formula, which is be plus third form, you will be able to change each and every sentence into passive easily. Okay, so thank you, and keep using this formula for changing active sentence into passive. Thank you.